This past week, the wrestling world lost quite a few individuals. But tonight, we're going to pay tribute, just like tonight's Monday Night Raw did. We're going to pay tribute to one of the most unique individuals in the history of the business. An individual who passed away this past Friday at the age of 79 due to kidney failure. Tonight, we pay our respects to WWE Hall of Famer, George the Animal Steele. Hello, friends, and welcome to this another edition of Ridiculously Raw. I am Anthony Floyd here with you, and we got to start this show on a somber note as George the Animal Steele passed away this past Friday due to kidney failure at the age of 79. And don't worry, we'll get into the positive stuff, which is, of course, Monday Night Raw and another interesting show as always. But 2016 was the year of the obituary in terms of celebrities and close to home deaths. So far, we've had a lot of wrestler deaths this year. I mean, Superfly Jimmy Snuka, George the Animal Steele, Nicole Bass from Howard Stern fame, who was in the WWE during the Attitude Era, and of course the Russian Bear Ivan Koloff. But Monday Night Raw, I noticed tonight, paid tribute to the Animal George Steele and run down a quick list of accomplishments. He didn't have that many, but he did have some. Was an honoree of the Cauliflower Alley Club in 2004, Grande Wrestling Alliance Heavyweight Champion, and an NWA World Tag Team Champion, Detroit version, one time with Frankie Lane, National Wrestling Federation North American Heavyweight Champion, inducted into the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame, class of 2005. PWI ranked him number 267 of the 500 best singles wrestlers during the PWI years in 2003. Superstars of Wrestling Canadian Heavyweight Champion, inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 1995, won the 1987 Slammy Award for Best Performance by an Animal, and Wrestling Observer Most Embarrassing Wrestler in 87 and 88, Worst Feud of the Year in 87 with Danny Davis, and Worst Tag Team in 1986 with the Junkyard Dog. So that's it. That's the list right there. And he was best known for biting into the turnbuckle pads, and that's what he'll forever be known for. He was in a movie in the movie Ed Wood in 1994. 2008, co-starred with Greg the Hammer Valentine in a short film entitled Something Fishy, and appeared in a Minolta commercial with another late great actor, Tony Randall, from Odd Couple fame. And it was a devout Christian. He was a devout Christian, like myself and Dee Dee Woodson are. He attended the First Baptist Church, Merritt Island, and lived in Cocoa Beach, Florida, with his wife, Patricia, whom he married before he entered college at Michigan State in 1956. They had two sons, Dennis and Randy, and a daughter, Felicia. He also had dyslexia and suffered from Crohn's disease. Was diagnosed with that in 1988. But he got through that in 1998, and then had his colon removed in 2002. And his last appearance in 1998 during the Attitude Era, he was a part of the Oddities. January the 10th of 2000 was on a WCW Monday Nitro when he was one of three legends to go up against Jeff Jarrett. Also was an appearance at for TNA in 2008 at Slammiversary. Was a groomsman in the wedding for Jay Lethal and SoCal Val, along with Coco Beware, Kamala, and Jake the Snake Roberts. And his last professional wrestling appearance was the first Old School Raw in 2010. It was during a match with Kofi Kingston and David Otunga on that Go Home Monday Night Raw for Survivor Series in 2010. So he had this stuffed animal called Mine. But the one thing that I'll remember most was the Yoop. I remember that, the Yoop chants that he used to do. And but the one thing that I'll almost remember from his time in professional wrestling was the feud he had with Randy Macho Man Savage, which would then later include Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And I'll never forget, that Saturday night's main event, January 3rd of 87, when he kidnapped Miss Elizabeth from the ring. And then, of course, it led into the infamous Savage Steamboat match at WrestleMania 3 in the Silverdome. 5-star classic, Shakespearean drama. We all know that story. And George the Animal Steele played a big role in that match when he shoved Macho off the top rope and allowed Steamboat enough time to cradle Macho in a small package and get the 1, 2, 3 and win the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. So I'll never forget that. And was also involved in the WrestleMania 4 Battle Royal at the start, which started the event. But one of the most unique personalities in WWE history, and someone who will surely be missed, and would be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 1995. And I watched that speech back the other night. You can watch all the good Hall of Fame stuff on the WWE Network, and they had this special look back at the Hall of Fame, and I wanted to see his induction and his speech, and he spoke very eloquently. I got to be honest. I mean, you may know him as this goof, but hey, he was an eloquent speaker. He was very intelligent, and so nonetheless, George the Animal Steele will surely be missed, and he'll be missed by all of us. And on behalf of all of us here at the Wrestling Forum, we want to send our thoughts and condolences and prayers to the family, friends, and colleagues of George the Animal Steele, and to let you know that you will surely be missed, and there'll never be another one like him. He may be gone, but he will never be forgotten. So, just a small request to my panel here tonight. Let's try not to take up too much time, because I've got work commitments now. So I got work commitments in the morning. Let's try to make this thing run as smooth as silk, and that would be it. So let's start the tribute paying with. You know what? I'm just gonna make this an open forum. There's really no reason to go in any particular order. So whoever wants to jump in and pay their respects to George the Animal Steele, feel free to do so. And I see MF's mic's off first. So MF, George the Animal Steele, one of the most unique personalities in WWE history. But not just him, but Ivan Koloff passing away, Nicole Bass, and Superfly Jimmy Snuka earlier this year. So far, I hate to say it, but 2017 has been.
It's like a carbon copy. It's been a carbon copy of last year. It's a carbon copy of 2016. But yeah, it's definitely hit more in the world of professional wrestling. But I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it looks like it's getting even more scarier. We might be dealing with a couple of more deaths coming down the pipe very soon, according to some of the reports I've been hearing. But as you can tell, my voice is not that great, so just bear with me. I know with the work commitments and everything else, but I'm going to be very short, very sweet, straight to the point on a lot of factors tonight. So you're not going to get much elongated promos or anything from me tonight. I just don't have the strength or the power to do it. So just doing this is stressful enough on my throat. But look, when I heard the death, when I heard the news, I was obviously heartbroken. George the Animal Steele, even though I didn't know much about him, I knew him enough because I remember watching him, and he was like probably one of the most gonzo type people that you'll ever meet in professional wrestling. He's one of the guys that I respect and I like, and there's really nothing more to say. I just feel so bad because he was larger than life, and the thing is that you have the serious side of wrestling, and then you had the comedy side of wrestling, and that's what George the Animal Steel was to us. He was the comic relief. He was the guy who is you didn't know what you were going to get with him in the ring. He was so unorthodox, so crazy, but his with his little wrestling buddy, with him biting the turnbuckle pad, ripping it off, and you see all those things just flying out of the thing, and the fans were just eating it up. And that is really the lightheartedness of professional wrestling. Wrestling, yes, it is indeed actually real, but this was he was a sports entertainer. This is sports entertainment. Well, that's what George the Animal Steel brought to the factor. You had the Hogans, you had the Warriors, you had the Macho Mans. So you had big names. But what George the Animal Steel was he was the little goofball that was, the funny comic relief. But every time he came out, we were always like, wow, what is this guy gonna do now? And it in one way it was cringe, but another way it was awesomeness, because he just brought a smile on my face every time I saw him, because I didn't know what I was gonna see with this guy. And that's how good George Animal Steel was. He was entertainment for me more than anything else. So that's it. Whoever wants it next, it's yours.
All right. Yeah, it's very sad about the passing of George the Animal Steel. I mean, he was such a fun and entertaining wrestler, to say the very least. I mean, I always remember him chewing those turnbuckle pads off, and the feud that he had with Macho Man Randy Savage. Of course, like you mentioned, that Saturday night's main event where he basically captured Miss Elizabeth, and of course, where they faced off at WrestleMania 2, and of course, he was in the corner of George the Animal Steel, of Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, I should say, at WrestleMania 3, where Ricky the Dragon would become the Intercontinental Champion, and of course, being part of the Battle Royal to kick off WrestleMania 4. So, yeah, so he was definitely a fun-loving guy, and he will definitely be missed by everybody. So we'll miss you, George the Animal Steel. So whoever wants it next, it's yours. It's obviously Dee Woodson, so I give it to you.
Yeah, I can actually remember watching his matches since I'm probably the oldest one here. I can remember vividly watching him tear up the turnbuckle pads, calling not just the little stuffed animal mine, but even Elizabeth was his in a way. And I mean, yeah, he's definitely one that's brought the relief to some of the seriousness that would come out of the wrestling shows. And I mean, it's you'd sit there and turn it on, and then you'd hear his name, and I mean, you never knew what to expect, but at the same time, you knew it was going to be not just entertaining, but it was going to be good. He made a point to basically give the fans what they wanted, and and to stay in character, and portray the animal the only way he knew how to do it. And yeah, he came off as someone who was bizarre, someone who you wouldn't think had a whole lot of smarts, but then you see him off stage or out of character, and he was the exact opposite, family man and everything. So yeah, George had some amazing matches. He was an amazing guy. Um, for me, the two biggest things I remember was him tearing up the turnbuckle, calling everything mine, especially his doll, and going after Miss Elizabeth. And that feud that he would have with Savage over her and everything. So I'm not going to say too much more about it because for me, I've been traveling all day, so I'm tired. So let's just move on.
Yes, fair enough, Dee Woodson. And as you can see by the graphic in my on my screen here, this show tonight will be dedicated to the memory of William James Myers, better known to all of us as George the Animal Steele. So, well, hey, you remember Animal Steele had an infatuation with Miss Elizabeth. Well, he's up in heaven now, and so is she. So, that's all I can say. So, connect the dots. So there you go. So that's it. So Animal, this one's for you, man. I hope we do you proud here tonight. So now let's get to the business at hand. Monday Night Raw. Another, well, what's been the theme? What's been the theme of the last few weeks? Interesting and newsworthy Monday Night Raws, and tonight was no exception. Monday Night Raw, of course, was live tonight from the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California, the home of the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Kings. And here we go. We started it off with an in-ring segment. The Universal Champion, Kevin Owens, in the ring, in a spotlight, sitting down, pretty much cutting a heel promo on Bill Goldberg, and did not address Chris Jericho. He was about to address Chris Jericho, and then he just dropped the mic and walked out. There's nothing left for me to say. This was definitely, you can make an argument, this was the segment of the night right here. An excellent opening. The recap video was over 5 minutes in length, and the Owens promo went roughly 10 minutes. It was a unique opening that made the angle feel even bigger. It also served as a reminder of how good Owens can be as a serious heel. The friendship was fun, but I still wish we had been able to see more of this Owens during his Universal title reign, which we all agree is most likely going to end at Fastlane when he fights Goldberg. Meanwhile, and that's pretty much all I can say on that. And very good promo segment from Owens in a completely different tone than 99% of the typical show opening segments, and followed up on last week's angle very well. And it felt like a reboot of the Owens character. It was more of the character that we wanted to see out of him. He also sold the hell out of the Goldberg match, which I know some people have no desire to see previously, but may have made some interested, as he delivered most definitely his best WWE promo in forever. So I would probably go on the record and say segment of the night for me. So well done. That's how you start a show, especially after that awesome angle last week with the turn on Jericho, which we all knew was coming from a mile away. So well done, Kevin Owens. Great way, and a great way to set the tone, no pun intended, for what was yet another interesting and newsworthy edition of Monday Night Raw. Wouldn't you agree with that, MF?
Oh boy. All right. I'll say this. First off, that wasn't Kevin Owens. Screw that. That was Kevin Steen, what you just saw tonight. That was classic Ring of Honor promo work. The only thing he didn't do was just swear or use any profanity because it is a PG show. But what you saw was what I've seen his entire career. It's finally WWE has smartened up, woken up, and let him be what he's always been. A guy who didn't care about friends. It was never about friendship. It's always been about money, championships, and just beating people up. All this other funny haha stuff was not Kevin Owens. This is the Kevin Owens I know. This is the Kevin Owens I like. This is the Kevin Owens that basically doesn't give a damn who you are or what you think. He'll make fun of you, and he'll do it with class, with honor, and with brutality that will make you either shake in your boots or go cry to Dee Dee Woodson crying for mommy. Whatever the case may be, this is the Kevin Owens I've been waiting for, guys. This was his personal best. But then again, I seen his personal best. And that's the real thing. Everybody who said, "Oh, this is his personal best in WWE." Granted, WWE, you haven't seen the real Kevin Owens yet. You're just scratching the surface. Trust me. If you wanted the real Kevin Owens, go back to Ring of Honor. That's the one that I remember. More sadistic, more dangerous, more crazy. The only thing is they're gonna tone him down because of the fact that he was not afraid to drop a couple of F-bombs or some language along the way. Even though it's a PG-rated show, it's like they're trying to push him to that Ring of Honor era. If they get him to that, strap up the seatbelts, folks, because you're going to be in for one heck of a ride at that point. This is his personal best. This was segment of the night, no doubt about it. But like I said, I've seen this Kevin Owens before. This is the one I like. Bullock is yours.
Yeah, this was definitely the segment of the night, and yeah, this was the Kevin Owens that Fletcher was basically just talking about, and I guess WWE finally manned up and finally decided to show that side of Kevin Owens, the one who doesn't give a damn what you think about him, or he doesn't give a damn about friends. All he cares is about the money, the championships, and just beating the heck out of you, no matter who you are. And I mean, like you said, I mean, he knows that he feels he can beat Goldberg, and he even said he was never impressed with Goldberg. He wasn't even impressed with him when he beat Brock Lesnar at the Survivor Series. And like you said, just as he was getting ready to address Chris Jericho, well, he just dropped the mic and walked out of here. That was his way of saying Chris Jericho never existed to me. He was never my best friend, just like the way I dumped Sami Zayn. So, yeah, that is certainly a great way to start off this edition of Monday Night Raw, and to hype up his match against Goldberg at Fastlane, which I hate to say this to you, Michael Fletcher, and I know this is going to piss you off. Goldberg is going to walk away with that Universal title, and we're going to get that match for the Universal title between Goldberg and Lesnar. I hate to say that to you. I mean, as much as it pains for me to have to do it, but it's just facts. It's just facts. I mean, I hope I'm wrong and they go in a different direction, but it looks like that's what they're heading. Sorry, Dee Dee Woodson, it's yours.
Yeah, it was definitely this segment of the night. But I think you guys pretty much covered it, so I'm not going to say anything else. Let's go on.
Okay, fair enough. Next up, we had ourselves a number one contenders match for the Raw Tag Team Championship. Former champions, Sheamus and Cesaro, going up against Enzo and Cass. The winning team will face Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson for the Raw Tag Team Championships at Fastlane. Let's make a note of that right here and now. Winners of the match. One review I'm reading has it listed at 6:35. Another has it listed in 9:20. But nonetheless, it doesn't matter the time of the fall. The winners of the match and number one contenders for the Raw Tag Team Championship at Fastlane. How you doing? The Wrestling Forum's favorite tag team, Enzo and Cass. It was Big Cass hitting the East River Crossing on Cesaro. 1, 2, 3. And now, Enzo and Cass will face Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson for the Raw Tag Team Championship at Fastlane. MF, what do we think about this?
Oh my goodness. Solid fight, good match. I will say this though, a lot of people on social media was loving Sheamus tonight, man. I think Sheamus bro kicked Enzo out of his boots or something like that. That's what I heard. Well, whatever the case may be, social media exploded and they were saying thank you, Sheamus, for the broke kick. I guess Enzo was doing his traditional running of the mouth and paid a dear price for it. But I'm so happy Enzo and Cass won the fight. They get the tag team title shot. 2.25, maybe 2 to 2.25, maybe 2.5 stars. Decent fight, but nothing to write home about. This is like one of the mid-tier fights of the night. I'm not calling it fight of the night. I could give this like maybe fourth best, third or fourth best in my eyes. Nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, 2 to 2.25 stars is my rating on the match as well. I mean, good match for what it was, but yeah, congratulations to Enzo and Cass, and now they're gonna get the opportunity to for a shot at the Raw Tag Team titles at Fastlane. So yeah, I mean, it was really not that much to write home about. I mean, but still, it was good for what it was worth. So 2 to 2.25 stars. And Florio, since we did do this on the Raw Talk, and we got to do it right here since they won it. If you don't like that they're the number one contenders for the tag team champs, then there's only one word to describe you, and we're gonna spell it out for you. SAWFT. Soft. Dee Woodson, it's yours.
Hit him with a Bullock.
Bada boom, realest guys in the room. How you doing?
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I pretty much would agree with the rating. Solid fight. I enjoyed it, so not much more to say.
Yeah. That Dee Woodson, MF, and anybody who may be watching this, that's just a little snippet of what Michael Bullock and I do during our Raw chats. Unfortunately, we couldn't do one tonight because Bullock had some special plans today, and which is fine, nothing to worry about. But when Enzo and Cass come out during our Raw chats, Bullock does the Enzo shtick to a T. That's all I can say about that. It's absolute perfection. Sometimes I think he does it even better than Enzo himself does, honestly. But nonetheless, I'm going to give it 2 stars for my rating as well. For me, based on what I have, I consider this my third best fight of the night. And what else is there to say? Solid match. And we're freshening things up in the tag team division. And I'll be honest with you, going into this fight, I actually had Enzo and Cass winning this match because, I mean, we've already seen Cesaro and Sheamus against Gallows and Anderson a few times already. We need to shake things up in that tag team division, and it's exactly what happens here. And yeah, they may be becoming repetitive with the mic work, but the live crowd in Staples, they were definitely into the idea of seeing them win the match and get the title shots. So big question now is, do we finally get the moment that we've been waiting for in 13 nights in Milwaukee at Fastlane? Are we going to see Enzo and Cass become your next Raw Tag Team Champions? Oh boy, if that happens, MF, Dee Woodson, if you think Michael Bullock and I are impossible tonight, just imagine how impossible we're going to be on our Fastlane recap show if Enzo and Cass win the belts. That's all I'm going to say. So that's just a snippet of what you're going to see on our Fastlane recap. So, oh, that was great. That was almost fun. So 2 stars, third best fight of the night. No question about it. All right. Now we got to get into some cutout stuff here. What is a Ridiculously Raw without some cutouts? So my friends, hang tight. Let me handle this because I handle all cutouts. So, all right, we had a set. We were scheduled to have a cruiserweight match with D. Brian Kendrick against Akira Tozawa, which would have been all kinds of awesome if this had happened. But unfortunately, the fight never got off the ground, and Kendrick basically beat the snot out of Tozawa. Yeah, post-match, Kendrick said that no one would disrespect him, so we had to give Tozawa a lesson tonight. Solid little angle to advance the feud without having one of them lose a meaningless sub-3-minute match. So I have to... Well, this was really more of an angle than a match, really. So I'm just gonna NA this, honestly. And I'll be honest, even though I would have liked to have seen the fight go down, there's another part of me that was actually okay with them holding off on the Kendrick Tozawa fight. They have very little to promote that matters in the cruiserweight division, and this feels like one they can build to rather than just throwing it out there as it seemed like they were going to. So my guess is either one of the next 2 weeks on 205 Live, or they just may save it for Fastlane. Who knows? So we're just gonna move on. We have another cutout here. It's not often we say a Roman Reigns fight is a cutout, but it's basically a carbon copy of last week because Roman Reigns went up against both Raw Tag Team champions Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson in another 2-on-1 handicap match. Gallows and Anderson win the match in 4 minutes via a disqualification after Roman Reigns used the steel chair that the champs brought into the ring. This is another cutout here. 1 star. Okay, I was okay with it last week, but doing it again this week did nothing but hurt the Raw Tag Team champions and made them look like idiots again. I mean, I'll admit it. That spear, that midair spear that Reigns hit on Anderson looked amazing. But sadly, Gallows and Anderson just can't catch a break. They finally win the tag team titles as part of the Royal Rumble kickoff show after being booked so horribly. And now that they have the tag titles, they're working handicap matches against Roman Reigns. Why can't they just book them as a badass heel duo like they were in the Bullet Club in Japan, for goodness sakes? Is there some storyline purpose for this feud? Or are they just filling time? My guess is it's the latter. I think it's just cheap, unnecessary filler. That's just how I feel about it. So, all right. And then an announcement was made. And when I heard this, I mean, as much as I love these guys, when I heard this announcement, I immediately cringed. The New Day is going to be the host of WrestleMania. Tell me that doesn't make you cringe. WrestleMania, biggest show of the year. And we're going to have the best, the most the biggest campy comedy duo, the most campy comedy group of guys that we've ever seen. Campy comedy, we're gonna get it. I think we're gonna get quite a share of campy comedy come April 2nd. Not the night to do it. Absolutely not. Maybe as some comic relief, I could understand it, but oh, good grief.
Of the night of all nights, you don't want to be campy comedy, especially the night like WrestleMania. I get it, but bad call, WWE. Horrible call.
New Day hosting WrestleMania.
Yeah, they literally dropped the ball on this one.
I mean,
they could have had somebody else do it, whether it was a celebrity or a Hall of Famer for that matter.
But here's the thing. I mean,
you don't need a host.
Exactly.
Oh, I
Nailed
get
it.
that. I get that. But if you were gonna do it, either have a Hall of Famer or celebrity do it. But if you're not gonna do that, why bother have a host?
But because think about this, last year's WrestleMania didn't have a host. I
Nope.
mean, if you honestly think about it, the last guy that hosted WrestleMania
Hogan.
was Hulk Hogan in 30, and
He's
even
great.
then, it wasn't that bad because Hogan was only there just for that one moment at the beginning. Yeah, Botchamania ran amok, but it gave us one of the most iconic moments in WrestleMania history. But
Absolutely.
that's what WrestleMania is all about. Iconic moments. Unless the New Day is going to give us an iconic moment and that's why they threw them, or if WWE really legitly doesn't have nothing for the New Day, which is beyond me, how on earth do these guys not be on the actual show itself wrestling
Right.
because they deserve it?
Exactly.
It's
I mean,
crazy.
here's the New Day coming off the longest tag team title run ever, which I never thought we'd see, surpassing Demolition as longest tag team champions in history, and maybe the most over faction tag team group, whatever you want to call them, the most over faction. I mean, along with Enzo and Cass, of course, and you're gonna have these guys serve as hosts of WrestleMania. You could have put them in some sort of match for the Raw Tag Team Championship, or hello, Andre the Giant Battle Royal. I mean, but hosts of WrestleMania. No, 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 no. You don't need a host for WrestleMania. I mean, Hogan did a great job at 30. I'll admit it. Was it necessary? No, but Hogan made it work. And like MF said, the segment with him, Stone Cold, and The Rock set the tone for what ended up being only the greatest WrestleMania in history. So that's all we can say on that. So,
and if y'all remember, we all got pretty much sick and tired of the hosts when they kept doing it every week on Raw.
Absolutely, D.D. Woodson. Very good point. I mean,
I'm right don't bring that up.
I mean, some of them did a good job when they were doing it on Raw. Some of them did a good job. Jesse the Body Ventura, Ben Roethlisberger, Bob Barker, Shaquille O'Neal. Those were the few that were actually good. I will admit it. But some of the others were just a trifle unnecessary, and that's all I can say on that. So, but nonetheless, it'll be interesting to see what they do. But I just wanted to get that off my chest. I really had to get that off my chest, really. So, but anyways, New Day were out next. They cut another, funny haha promo, and then it led into a tag team match with Big E and Kofi representing the New Day going up against Jinder Mahal and Rusev. New Day win the match in 3 minutes and 17 seconds because New Day rocks. We all know that. So, yeah, another meh fight here, another cutout fight, 1 star. Not much to this other than ice cream shenanigans and announcing New Day as the host of WrestleMania, and which I still cannot believe they did. So that's really all I can say on that. So no further comments. So all right, now we're going to get into something a little more interesting here. We finally have something relevant to get into here. We had Austin Aries in the ring to officially have the contract signing for the Cruiserweight Championship match at Fastlane between champion Adrian Neville and number 1 contender, gentleman Jack Gallagher. And something that was actually good for a change. So I know D.D. Woodson's going to sit this one out because she doesn't bother with the Cruiserweights. So we're going to start it off with Michael Bullock here. So Bullock, now we finally get something interesting here. Neville and Gallagher. I mean, I know the only downside for you was Neville was a little, screamy for you.
Yeah, I mean I'll say it. I mean the segment, I thought it was good, but I really could have gone without, of course, Neville screaming, which is to me totally unnecessary. if I'm gonna be quite honest, I'm gonna say it to you again, Neville. Will you please tone your voice down because your screaming is starting to get annoying. If I'm gonna be quite honest, but all in all, this was a good segment, and basically, this was Gallagher basically getting the best of Neville, especially with that headbutt of his. So yeah, so there's really nothing more for me to say. Florio, I give it to you.
Yeah, absolutely, Bullock. This was a solid segment to hype the Cruiserweight Championship match and allowed Jack Gallagher to show his personality, which has really gotten him over with WWE fans, including Michael Bullock. And like I said, good verbal exchange with Neville pointing out the complaints that some have had regarding the Gallagher character, while Gallagher held his ground while saying that's simply who he is. So, I'll tell you right now, we could be looking at a potential sleeper fight of the night come Fastlane if all goes well. So that's all I can say about it. So MF, quick thought on this contract signing. You've been high on Neville, like I said. It's well documented how high you've been on Neville since his heel turn at Roadblock, and I'm sure he impressed you tonight. But then again, Gallagher was impressive too.
Yeah, no, this was very solid for both men. Neville definitely continues that very good heel promo, and you know what? I don't mind the screaming. I don't mind all that stuff. You know what? That's Michael Bullock. That's his opinion. Fine, whatever. I don't care. Gallagher, true gentleman, playing that role very well. Like I said, I think Neville will go on. He'll go to WrestleMania. I already told you what my dream fight would be, and what I heard that the rumors are gonna be what could be the next fight for WrestleMania. And if this is gonna be, then I can't wait to see it. But right now, solid. I liked everything that went down. Nothing more to say. Oh, kitty. All right. Sorry, Floyd. I got sidetracked for a moment. Go ahead. It's all yours.
That's Callie the Wonder Page right there, folks. Callie the Wonder Cat Page, who is one of our two official mascots of the Wrestling Forum. The other being Hogan the Rabbit. So, Didi Whitson and I, we had that little talk about that when we hosted Cerebral Smack Talk in MF's absence a couple weeks ago. So, anyways, let's get back into this. Yet another cutout here. Nia Jax squashing a young lady by the name of Sarah Pierce. No rating to a dud. Another dominant win for Jax, and another promo with her sounding like she's delivering lines rather than speaking in her own voice. And then basically a solid squash for Jax, and the post-match promo will hopefully provide some direction for her, as she has been stalled ever since she went over Sasha Banks. So, but now we're back into the relevant stuff here. We kept the women's action going, as we heard from the new Raw Women's Champion Bayley. Basically cutting her promo there, and then she was interrupted by the commissioner of Raw, Stephanie McMahon, and then eventually Charlotte came out, and then Sasha Banks shows up, and then from there, Stephanie would end up making a match between Charlotte Flair and Sasha Banks. Because Sasha Banks challenged Charlotte to a match, and Stephanie said, "Okay, you got your match." And basically, what Charlotte was trying to do was trying to get Bayley to give up the title because of the controversial conclusion of that epic match last week, and that was basically it. And Charlotte says, I'm gonna invoke my rematch clause. So it's on at Fastlane. Charlotte Flair will challenge Bayley for the Raw Women's Championship, and that's all I can say on that. So I do believe Didi Whitson starts this one off here. So Didi Whitson, what did we think of all of this during this segment?
Hey, I liked it. Charlotte, of course, is a butt kisser, and you pretty much saw that during this whole segment and right here where she was apologizing for the whole ladies' locker room because of Bailey and Sasha. And then getting into the match with Charlotte and Sasha. I mean, I'm going to give it about 2.5 stars to 3, but it was a really good match. And of course, the ending, we had about the same ending as we did with Bailey, but if Charlotte's going to play dirty, then you kind of have to play dirty back, and that's kind of how I look at it. But I'm proud of Bailey for not giving in to Stephanie and Charlotte and then sticking with her guns. Every time Charlotte had won it there for a while, it was a tainted championship. So if they want to call this a tainted championship for Bailey, so be it. I mean, she's the new champion. She does deserve to be the champion. She's worked her butt off to get to this point, and even if it took Sasha coming out because of Dana Brooks, then so be it. So I have nothing more to say, so it's yours, Florio.
Before I take it back, Didi, I also want to get your thoughts on the match. I forgot to mention this. I should have tied this in as a 2-for-1 segment.
I said it was 2 to. Yeah, I said it was 2 to 3.
Yeah, she gave her thoughts on the match.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Okay,
Yeah.
very good. All right, just wanted to be sure on that. So, all right. As far as the segment goes, I would probably say maybe second best segment of the night here because of the fact. All right. I know there's a lot of people out there saying there was too much Stephanie in the segment. Me, I can never have enough Stephanie. You know me. I get that they were hoping for the big time heat with her trying to get Bailey to give back the title, but she did little. But there were some that are saying that she did not do anything to help the segment. Some felt Charlotte should have been cutting the promo and it needed to be more focused on Bailey's crisis of conscience. And the faces also dropped the ball in not mentioning that Dana Brooke got involved and that they were just evening the odds. Overall, fine segment, but it could have been better. And also, we're just doing the same thing, going back to the rematch, where it's most likely Charlotte will regain the title on pay-per-view, and repeated title changes and great Raw matches masqueraded as booking, quote-unquote booking. So that's all I can say there. As far as the match with Charlotte and Sasha goes, this may come as a surprise, but this was the second best fight of the night for me. 2 3/4 stars. As far as the wrestling goes, up to this point of the show, it was the best thing on it. But matches like this that makes us feel that WWE booking does not believe in momentum having Charlotte lose. I am sure that they will chalk it up to Bailey paying back Sasha Banks from last week, but it continues to feel like more setup for the rumored WrestleMania 4-way match where they will all trade wins leading up to Mania so that they can fight to see who is the least loser. Of course, a televised win over Charlotte means little at this point, and they've established that Charlotte wins on pay-per-view, yet for some strange reason is highly beatable on Monday Night Raw. So that's all I can say there. So the fight was 2 3/4 stars, and that rumored WrestleMania 4-way match, for those of you who may be wondering, supposedly the plan is to have Charlotte Flair go up against Bailey, Sasha Banks, and Nia Jax in a 4-way for the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania. So, which I think could be something really good. So we'll see. So second best segment for me, match second best as well. 2 3/4 is the most I can give it, teetering on 3. So MF, your thoughts on all this craziness in the women's segment, with the match and the
2 1/4 stars is my rating for the fight. The segment itself was really good. I'm not gonna go too much into detail because you guys pretty much nailed it. But Michael Bullock, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the segment was second best segment of the night, and I'm glad Bailey didn't give in to Stephanie saying that she should relinquish the title, and as a member of the hugger section, to you, Stephanie McMahon. Hey, Bailey, she earned the title. I mean, Sasha Banks was just doing her job and just trying to prevent Dana Brooke from sticking her nose where it didn't belong. So why don't you take that? Why don't you take that? Oh, Bailey relinquished the title comment, and why don't you just stick it? Florio, well, in the match, I do agree. 2.5 star. I mean, 2.5 to 3 stars is my rating. So that's all I can say. So Florio, let's move on.
And we move on to our next inductee announcement of the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2017. Yo, it's me. It's DDP. That's right. Diamond Dallas Page is going to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2017, joining the likes of Kurt Angle, the Rock and Roll Express, and Theodore Long. Well deserved. I mean, he was the winner of the Frank Gotch Award in 2014. Pro Wrestling Illustrated Feud of the Year in '97 against Randy Macho Man Savage. 1999 was the most hated wrestler of the year. 96 most improved wrestler of the year. The PWI 500 was listed number 4 of the 500 best singles wrestlers in the PWI 500 in 97 and 98. And in the PWI years in 03 was ranked 65 out of 500. Swiss Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion. And of course, his most success coming in WCW, 3-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion, 2-time United States Heavyweight Champion, 1-time television champion, a 4-time co-holder of the Tag Team Championships with Kevin Nash, as well as the Jersey Triad with Bam Bam Bigelow and Chris Kanyon. 4th WCW Triple Crown Champion, and was the Lord of the Ring tournament winner in '96. You remember the Battle Bowl at Slamboree. In the WWE, was a 1-time European champion, a 1-time tag team champion with Chris Kanyon, Hall of Fame, obviously, and the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Diamond Cutter voted Best Wrestling Maneuver in '97, Most Improved Wrestler in '96, but was the worst gimmick in 2001. You remember the it's not a bad, the motivational speaker gimmick. You remember. So there you go. The master of the Diamond Cutter going into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2017. Of course, we know his outstanding work with his DDP Yoga, which basically saved the life of Jake the Snake Roberts and Scott Hall, among other things. And so, yeah, bada boom, bada bang. He's going into the Hall of Fame. Not a big surprise. I mean, he was on the list of rumored inductees anyway. I'm not at all surprised that they leaked it today. And what else is there to say? I mean, his accomplishments speak for themselves. I mean, had some great feuds. I mean, that feud with Savage in '97 was unreal. And, of course, winning the World Heavyweight Championship on a few occasions. I mean, WCW was where he was his best. And, of course, in the WWE, you remember he had that angle with The Undertaker. Bullock knows that all too well. And that infamous angle with The Undertaker and his then wife, Sarah. We all remember that disturbing angle right around during the invasion era. So, but nonetheless, DDP, well-deserved honor going into the Hall of Fame. And who's going to induct him? I'm thinking it's either going to be Jake the Snake or Scott Hall, because, I mean, it's well documented the work he's done with them as part of his DDP Yoga. So, but nonetheless, congratulations, Diamond Dallas Page, newest inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame, class of 2017. And what a class so far. Kurt Angle, Rock and Roll Express, Theodore R. Long, and now DDP. Wow. Shaping up to be one of the best Hall of Fame classes we've seen in quite a while. So, open forum here. Whoever wants to give a quick thought on this, feel free. Floor is open.
Yeah, I mean, congratulations to Diamond Dallas Page. I mean, on the induction in the Hall of Fame, he definitely deserves it. I mean, mean, what a career he's had. I mean, especially going back to his days in WCW and, of course, in WWE as well, especially that feud that he had with The Undertaker. But I like what he's done outside the ring, especially with his yoga that he does. But yeah, there's really nothing more to say. So congratulations to Diamond Dallas Page. And yeah, this clash so far is looking really good. I mean, Kurt Angle, the Rock and Roll Express, Theodore Long, and now and now Diamond Dallas Page. So now the question is, who's going to be the next inductee? We'll just have to wait and find out. So whoever wants it next, it's yours.
Yeah, nothing bad to say. I mean, one of the deepest classes we got so far up to this point. DDP going in, well deserved. For a few years now, a lot of people were saying, "When is DDP going in? When is DDP going in?" Well, you got your wish, folks. He's in. Congratulations to Diamond Dallas Page. Welcome to the Hall of Fame. I got nothing more to say. So, Dee, if you want to put your 2 cents in, go ahead, my dear. It's all yours.
Excuse me. I don't know if Didi wanted to mention a quick word about DDP going in, but if not, we'll just move on. That's not an issue. So all right. Now we had our next match, which was the Universal Champion Kevin Owens squaring off against former buddy Sami Zayn. Kevin Owens wins the match in 1 minute and 15 seconds after a pop-up powerbomb. And okay, let me find my liner note here. Okay. Okay, no, I believe I started off here. No rating to a dud, but I will say this though. Between the pre-match attack by Samoa Joe and the absolute destruction by Kevin Owens, this segment kicked all kinds of you-know-what. Joe and Zayn get some more heat added onto it. Owens in a remorseless a-hole role, and I love that he destroyed someone in under 2 minutes, as it was a great follow-up to his promo that kicked off the show, which was designed to sell the title match against Goldberg at Fastlane. And I also love the continued teases of Joe and Owens as Triple H's boys in a possible stable. And yes, I heard about this. I read a dirt sheet saying that there is a rumor going around that Triple H could put together a stable where it would be Triple H, Kevin Owens, and Samoa Joe. Ooh, lordy. That was terrific.
Boy, if that faction happens, whew, may God have mercy on anybody who's gonna be willing to challenge those three.
Absolutely. And that was terrific. The idea of another Owens Zayn fight without any real build did nothing for me, but Joe attacking Zayn was violent and perfect. It's nice to hear the broadcast team openly speaking about the change in Owens. It's just a shame this change didn't occur much sooner. And of course, like we said last week, don't be surprised if Samoa Joe and Sami Zayn gets added for Fastlane. So that's really all there is to say about that. And then they aired a graphic acknowledging the death of Ivan Koloff, so that was good. So, all right, so that's pretty much it. No rating to a dud as far as the fight goes, but as a whole, well done. MF, I mean, your thoughts on all that I just mentioned there?
Yeah, no. Look, the match itself, all right, fine, it was there, but you also left one added thing. Joe beat down Sami Zayn. Now I don't know if this was before the fight, after the fight, whatever, but he beat him down. The fight was short. No rating to a dud. I can go with that for all I care. That's it. Bullock is yours.
Yeah, no rating to a dud, but man, that beatdown before the match was just brutal and violent. So Yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. So I'm just gonna pass it off to Dee Dee Woodson. If she does want to talk about it, I say we just move on.
Yeah, now running to a dud. Good to see um, them continuing the storyline with Joe and Zane. Very brutal beatdown. Didn't leave much left for Kevin Owens to deal with. So that's about all I had to say about it.
All right, fair enough. And all right, and then there was a really good backstage segment with Stephanie McMahon and Mick Foley. They basically had an exchange there. That was very good. And then we had Michael Cole in a sit-down interview with Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. Wow, that was really good as well. And it was announced that next Monday night on Raw in Green Bay, Wisconsin, Bill Goldberg is going to be on the show. And we'll also have an interview with Seth Rollins. So that should be very interesting to see. Well, we know Goldberg will be there to address Kevin Owens, but the Seth Rollins thing, that's going to be very interesting to see how they go about that. And now we go into our main event of the evening, which I'll be honest, going into this, I honestly thought this fight had no business being the main event. But what we're about to, but you are not going to believe what we're going to say about this. This maybe it'll probably go down as one of the most surprising things in the history of this show. Braun Strowman versus The Big Show is the main event. And I know a lot of people are saying, why? Why is this the main event? This has no business being the main event. Well, how about this? Winner of the match in 12 minutes and 18 seconds. Michael Bullock, you want to do the honors with me? You know how to do it.
Roar!
Braun Strowman wins the match with the running power slam. They reinforce the ring. Strowman wins it, 12 minutes, 18 seconds. MF, we started with you here. And as your idol, well, all of our idols, but yours in particular, the late great Gorilla Monsoon always said, I hope the ring was reinforced, but guess what? It was reinforced.
And it's a good thing it was, because my goodness, whoever would have thought the big men were going to steal the show tonight, because they did it. 3.5 stars, fight of the night. Hey, I mean, these two men put an actual great effort. They left it in the ring. Big Show looked amazing. Strowman is a freak. What the hell to say about that? I mean, his agility is... This guy is 385 pounds, and he looked like a freaking cruiserweight, for God's sakes, with some of the ability that he did in this fight tonight. I mean, yeah, this was... If anybody had any doubts about Braun Strowman being in a main event picture, he silenced those critics with this performance tonight. Like, there is no more debates. There are no more arguments. There is nothing. Braun Strowman is a main event fighter. He deserves to be in the main event picture, and this is just coming out. Ladies and gentlemen, Braun Strowman is a player for 2017. That is no ifs, no ands, no buts about it. After tonight, he solidified it. And Big Show, give it up for Big Show, man. He looks a lot more slimmer, a lot more better. To me, this was his best performance. Like, even for me, I was thoroughly impressed with the Big Show. So for me, like we said, big man fight, be a man fight. They were men in this ring tonight. And this was amazing. 3.5 stars, fight of the night. Michael Bullock, go.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm saying this too. Fight of the night. 3.5 stars. I mean, this was amazing. I mean, I never would have thought the big men would put on a quality main event, and I gotta give kudos to both men, and I agree. This is Braun Strowman's coming out party, and this, and I'll tell you what, he will be WWE Universal Champion before the night is over, or the year is over, I should say. So there's really nothing more to say. So, Dee Woodson, your thoughts on this main event?
And one other thing I want to say before we go to Dee, give props to Kevin Dunn and Vince McMahon for having the guts and the balls to make this our main event of the evening. As much as we may poo-poo over them a whole bunch of times, this is the one time they nailed it, and they got this one right. Good for them. Good for them. All right, Dee, go ahead, love.
Hey, you guys pretty much said it all, so I pretty much agree with you guys. So same rating. So just move on. Take it to Florio.
Yeah, no question about it. It would be like if we were doing a meme or a meme, as we call it, that awkward moment when the Big Show and Braun Strowman stole the show. Well, it was not an awkward moment. They stole the show and then some. Fight of the night. I'm not going to go that high with the rating, but I am going to give it 3 stars for it. It was exactly what it needed to be. I mean, they've been working this match on the road and did tons of callback spots to the live event matches. Braun took all of Show's best stuff, survived, and won with his Haas powers. The only real gripes were the botched Vader splash counter spot and that they should have went home without Show kicking out of the power slam. Show constantly talks about his time almost being done and that WWE needs new monsters. It felt here that Show was giving it his all, put over Braun as the next monster. He sold like a champ. Braun kicked out of all of his stuff, and at the end, Braun came out looking great, which was the goal here. It took them some time, but they finally started to get it right with Braun, and I love this big old Haas. Really good super heavyweight match. The fans were hot from this from the start. Big time showcase for Strowman, who performed a couple of new moves early on and looked really badass in kicking out of some of Show's top offensive moves. It wasn't pretty at times late, but this was still so much better than anyone would have expected a Show Strowman match to be even a few months ago. Post-match angle was great in that they let Strowman leave a monster rather than having Reigns get the better of him after a tough match. So this is not only the fight of the night, but I'm going to tell you right now, as of right now, sleeper fight of 2017 right here. I don't care what anybody says. So now it's on to our overall review here. Michael Bullock, I'd like to get it going with you here. Your overall thoughts on what was yet another interesting and newsworthy Monday Night Raw tonight?
Yeah, this was another interesting and newsworthy edition of Raw here, and I'm actually gonna give it a 7 out of 10 for this edition of Raw. I mean, I like some of the things. I mean, the segment of the night with Kevin Owens, and that segment with Bayley, Sasha Banks, Charlotte, and Stephanie McMahon, and but the one that really topped it off for me was, of course, Braun Strowman and the Big Show being the fight of the night. So 7 out of 10 for me. So Dee Woodson, what says you? I don't know what's going on with Dee, but I guess I'm just gonna toss it to you, Florio.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take it here. 6.5 to 7 out of 10. That's where I'm going. Really solid show, hurt by a weak second hour. But they did some nice work in building the fast lane as well as rebooting Kevin Owens into a monster badass heel. What do I recommend? The opening promo from Kevin Owens, Joe's attack on Sami Zayn, Owens destroying Sami Zayn, the women's match with Charlotte Flair and Sasha Banks, The segment with the two of them, with Bailey and Stephanie McMahon, and of course, I would be remiss if I did not recommend Braun Strowman and the Big Show. So, yeah, the second, I mean, if that second hour wasn't so weak, this show would have been rated much higher. But the weak second hour killed the rating here. But other than that, the theme of this show continues. Interesting, newsworthy. I mean, Enzo and Cass, number one contenders, and Charlotte invoking the rematch clause with Bailey. So, I mean, what else is there for me to say on this? So 6.5 to 7 out of 10. LA Live did it again. And what's Green Bay going to have in store next week when Bill Goldberg shows up? And when we get that interview with Seth Rollins, hopefully that will answer all the questions we have regarding Seth Rollins and his availability for WrestleMania. That's all I can say. So 6.5, between 6.5 and 7 out of 10 for me. So MF, your thoughts on this, on yet another interesting and newsworthy Monday Night Raw?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I agree. This was an amazing show. 6.5 is my rating. And actually, Didi Woodson is back in. So, Didi, I'll give it to you quickly. 6.5 is my rating. Go ahead, my dear.
Yeah, I'd agree. 6.5 to 7. It slow show, but newsworthy show. Samo. So I have not much more to say about it. So I'm gonna head out, guys. So good night.
All right, good night, Didi Woodson, and I'm sure we'll see you tomorrow night for Cerebral Smack Talk. I'm sure. So
You got it.
all right. So so that'll do it for that. So now we're gonna move on to what I will tell you right now will be a rather quick edition of the Tony's Take here. Unfortunately, I'm afraid I have some bad news. It's going to be a double negative, I'm afraid. Both shows I'm going to review, not really going to be all that positive, if I'm going to be real honest with you. I was not impressed with either show for the most part, but I'll give you my thoughts on them anyway. So, started off with 205 Live. We had our first match, Noam Dar with Alicia Fox going up against Rich Swann. Excuse me. Rich Swann wins the match in 8 minutes and 5 seconds. I'll give it 2.5 stars. They worked well as the opener. The fans like Swann, and for the first 6 minutes, they were on pace to have a good fight. But things like Dar abandoning the leg for busy work on the arm and going too long as they had built well to a finish at around the 6-minute mark and then just kept going. So, but it was the second best fight of the show. The debut of Gran Metalik, finally, the runner-up of the Cruiserweight Classic. He went up against Drew Gulak. Gran Metalik wins it in 5 minutes and 26 seconds. Yeah, worst fight of the night, 1 3/4 stars. Rough debut for Metalik. Thankfully, he was in there with Gulak, who was used to working the style and was the right guy to grab a hold and slow it back down until Metalik got himself under control. Metalik rallied well, and this ended up okay, but certainly not the big splash they wanted for his debut. So that was it. And then the main event, Cruiserweight Champion Neville against TJ Perkins. Neville wins it in 12 minutes and 31 seconds via submission. Fight of the show here. This was the fight of the night here. Solid 3 stars. Had a good match overall, but the crowd was largely dead. And while the work was good, I never once bought Perkins winning. They tried, but they never really got the crowd involved, and it made for a stagnant atmosphere. This show, yeah, not a good one. 5 out of 10. That's the best I can give it. Not a good show between the largely dead crowd, the lackluster debut of Metalik, and the overall average in-ring product. Feel free to skip it. That's all I can say, unless you want to see Perkins and Neville and all that. So that's all I can say on that. They did announce 3 matches for tomorrow night's edition of 205 Live, and I think they can get back on track here. Akira, we're going to get that match with Akira Tozawa and D. Brian Kendrick. Mustafa Ali squaring off against Noam Dar. And the gentleman, Jack Gallagher, will square off against the premier athlete, Tony Nese. So overall, those are 3 solid fights, and I hope they deliver. I really do. I'm holding my breath, but we'll see what happens. So, but this week, yeah, not a good week. 5 out of 10. And that's the best I can give 205 Live. Impact Wrestling, hate to say it, was not much better, if I'm going to be real honest with you. So let's dive on into this past week's edition of Impact Wrestling. So okay. Started off with for once, we actually start off with a match. Mixed tag team match. It was Moose and Brandy Rhodes squaring off against Knockouts champion Rosemary and Crazy Steve. Abyss was in their corner, the Decay. Go everywhere together. Moose and Brandy Rhodes win the match in 5 minutes. 2 stars. I'm going to give it 2 stars. A perfectly solid opening match. I love that we open with a match instead of a elongated talking segment. Brandy's action was limited, and she wasn't nearly as bad as in previous appearances. Again, it was solid. I just hate that Rosemary has lost all momentum as Knockouts champion and seemingly has nothing to really sink her teeth into right now. She's starting to become a bit of an afterthought. I hate to say it. So then we had the segment. We got our in-ring segment. Eddie Edwards, Davey Richards. After Davey Richards attacked him, Angelina Love showed up and the whole 9 yards. Good segment. They kept it simple, teasing that Angelina Love had twisted the mind of Davey Richards. Of course, as you all know, Angelina Love, Davey Richards, they're married in real life, have a kid. Leading to the old jealous tag partner returning to get revenge on the partner that stayed behind and dared to find success without him. One is that by Edwards not getting to defend himself, he looks bad while Richards comes off as sympathetic, as he was injured and alone taking care of his pregnant wife while his friend allegedly, quote-unquote, never helped. Just to say on that. DCC member Eddie Kingston against Jesse Goddard. Jesse Goddard wins the match in 4 minutes and 20 seconds. That's another solid fight. Goddard is a good performer to watch, but they have no real clue what to do with him. It's nice to see him get a win, but again, the DCC can't keep momentum to save their life. The booking of the group leaves a lot to be desired, as they seemingly have no real goal and feel like a completely underachieving group. Some will claim that's because they were going to feud with Billy Corgan and it got scrapped. But you have to adapt and rewrite and not make them feel like a job squad. The match was also just there with no story or action to make you really care about it. Then we had a Fact of Life segment with Tyrus, Drake, and it was effective to continue their issues and set up next week's fight. But unfortunately, it's a match that I really sort of have no desire to see. Then we saw the stuff with the Hardys in Mexico. They won the Mexican Tag Team Championships. So not a big surprise with that. Segment worked well and it was what it needed to be, but it felt incomplete because we didn't see much of the fight. I think the cool thing is that the footage of all the fans in the streets and in the arena made the Hardys feel like an even bigger deal. So that's a success for sure. Then we had a return match from the Knockouts, Brooke against Sienna. Brooke wins it in 6 minutes and 20 seconds. 2.5 stars. It wasn't great, but up until that point, it was the best fight of the show. They played the monster versus a resilient babyface formula. It worked, but just lacked the fire from Brooke. Sienna was really good there. From there, Bobby Lashley, the World Heavyweight Champion, he cut the promo, interrupted by Josh Barnett. MF knows a lot about this guy. MMA fighter, New Japan on Wrestling announcer on Access TV with JR. Lashley was good here, but Barnett's motivations came off as off. Lashley has been kicking butt for some reason. He hasn't acted like a real champion to Barnett. Barnett's statements were made in wide strokes with little definition, came off as an annoyance compared to the badass champion. Segment was flat overall, if I'm going to be real honest. And then there was an anything goes street fight with Eddie Edwards against Davey Richards. It went to a no contest in 14 minutes and 45 seconds. By leaps and bounds, the best thing on the show. I'm not going to give it a rating, but it was amazing, though. They followed up on last week with a good brawl, but they didn't give away a finish in their first battle. Love is clearly pulling the strings of Richards. She's in his head and manipulating him. And he's doing everything she says because he's convinced it's the right thing. They both showed some great fire here. Richards was a remorseless a-hole here, but Eddie Edwards creates great drama, forcing her to watch her husband get beat. And then the visual of Edwards covering her up to save her was great. Richards came off great as a heel. He and Love are off to a great start as an evil couple, and I hope that they can keep the momentum up with this feud. overall on this one, even with some of the good things here, I can only give it 5.5 out of 10. Unfortunately, a weak effort from TNA. The show was largely flat with average at best wrestling and too much bachelorette nonsense. They have invested so much time into angles involving Maria for next to no return on that investment, and it continues to hurt the Knockouts division, leaving champion Rosemary directionless. And was the main event match an angle, which I felt was a home run and easily the best thing on the show. The Hardy segments were also enjoyable, but were lost in the dire and endless Bachelorette segments. Impact needs something to change, and I hope it does at the next tapings when the new regime fully takes the helm. Of course, as you all know, Jeff Jarrett is back in charge. So if anybody can get TNA going in the right direction, I have all the faith in the world that Jeff Jarrett can be the one to do it. Because it's effing his world, man. It's his world. That's all there is to it. So, all right. So, well, that's that. And now, I'm going to see if they have, see if I can find some notes to work with regarding this week's show coming up. Brandy Rhodes is going to have a segment with Cody. Cody Rhodes is going to be there, so that'll definitely. Oh yeah, so interesting segment. That's all I can say with Brandy and Cody. Jesse Garders will go up against Bram of the DCC. Jade with a promo segment with Rosemary. At least something interesting is going to come out of that. Thank goodness. Tyrus will go up against Eli Drake. And we're also going to have the wedding of Braxton Sutter and Laurel Van Ness. Yeah. No desire to see that. So, but we'll see what happens. Trevor Lee to defend the X Division Championship against DJZ. Another segment with Cody and Brandy and Moose. Check that out. And then the main event for the World Heavyweight Championship. Bobby Lashley defending against Josh Barnett. So that's your show for this week. Thursday night, 8 o'clock, Pop Television. Give it a whirl. So that will do it for this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll do our shout outs real quick. So open forum here. Whoever wants it first, take it. Just save me for last. I'll save the feature content in the whole 9 yards. So MF, Bullock, whoever wants it, go for it.
All right, first off, I want to say thank you to all the great fans out there that makes the show as ridiculously over as it normally is. To the super fans, to my friends in the junior high school days, to the 2184 crew, I love you guys. Tomorrow night or later this night is going to be Cerebral Smack Talk, SmackDown Live. We got some Ring of Honor stuff. And that's it. 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Brace Rate 95. Until then, it's Mike Fletcher. You know the routine. Hug the hand pounds. I'm out. Good night. Mike Bullock, go ahead. It's yours.
Bullock, are you there? All right. I guess I'm just going to have to close it out here. Special shout out to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to make the show as over as it is. We appreciate it as always. We're the best fans in the world, of course. Special shout out to Dee Dee Woodson and her family, Matt Ward, Jason Hixenbaugh, Daniel Luttrell from the UK, our other first ladies, Megan Silva, Kaiser Butler, and Lexi Calloway, and our other friends from our school days, Tommy Souza, Eric Carrier, Jimmy Alden, Al Bradison, and Rob Parsons, and of course the hardcore pipe bomb himself, Derek Ferreira, our Imperial Grand Poobah. And that will do it. I'm going to save the rest of my shout outs for Friday night. Of course, tomorrow night, we got Cerebral Smack Talk with MF. And just give me a moment here. Just want to get a quick word from him regarding the start time for Cerebral Smack Talk. It'll either be 10 or 10:30. You know, we'll review SmackDown Live and the whole 9 yards. Hopefully he'll be ready to go for that. And then on Friday, we got a loaded Strictly Sports show coming up. I mean, listen to this docket. We're going to talk about Darrelle Revis. Darrelle Revis getting arrested. Trent Richardson getting arrested for domestic violence. Recap NBA All-Star Saturday night. Recap the All-Star game. Kevin Love out for 6 weeks. Serge Ibaka getting traded to Toronto. DeMarcus Cousins getting traded to New Orleans. Claude Julien hired as the Montreal Canadiens head coach. Recap of UFC 208. Brock Lesnar announcing his retirement. George St. Pierre returning to the UFC. And our NHL power rankings. So that's it. So that'll do it for this. So until tomorrow night for Cerebral Smack Talk, it's Anthony Floyo here. For Good Old MF Michael Fletcher, for Didi Woodson, for Michael Bullock, and Derek Ferrera. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. And remember, no matter what anyone tells you, wrestling is indeed actually real. Good night, everybody.